let's start learning grammar. Now, in this video, we will be learning about the phrase, clause, and sentence. Now, these three structures are a common part of English and are all composed of group of words. Now, clauses, phrases, and sentences are very similar, but they do have different roles. Learning the difference between them will help you make a lot more sense of English grammar and will be very useful to improve your written English. So let's understand them one by one. First of all, we need to understand what is a phrase. Now, words can be grouped together but without a subject or a verb. This is called a phrase. As a phrase has neither subject nor verb, it can't form a predicate. Now, this is a structure that must contain a verb and it tells you something about what the subject is doing. And this is what is actually missing in phrase. It means we do not have a subject and a predicate combination in a phrase. Now, phrases can be very short or quite long. Now, let us understand this with the help of an example. After lunch, waiting for the rain to stop. Now, in these two examples, you cannot identify what is a subject and what is a verb. And that is why these two examples are referred as phrases. Now, phrases can't be used alone, but you can use them as part of a sentence where they are used as parts of speech. It means they may play the role of a noun or preposition or an adverb, and on the basis of that they are being referred as noun phrase, adverbial phrase, or a prepositional phrase that we will be understanding in another video. So I hope now you have understood that a phrase does not have subject and a predicate combination. Now let us understand it more clearly by understanding clauses. Now when we talk about clauses, they are group of words that have both subject and predicate. Unlike phrases, a clause can sometimes act as a sentence. Now this type of clause is called an independent clause. And some clauses can't be used on their own, and these are called subordinate or dependent clause because they need to be used with an independent clause to complete their meaning. Now, an example of a subordinate clause is when the man broke into the house. Now, this is a dependent clause or subordinate clause because this group of words has a complete meaning, but as it is beginning with the conjunction when, it is dependent on the other half of a sentence, and that is why it is known as dependent clause. Now, an example of independent clause, the dog barked at him. Now, it can be used as complete sentence because it has its own meaning. Now, what is the main thing which we need to notice here? That in this subordinate clause, we have a subject and a predicate because it contains a verb. Similarly, in this independent clause, we have a subject and we have a predicate because this sentence also has a verb. So, wherever we will be able to identify the subject and the predicate, it means it is a clause. So, this is the major difference between a phrase and a clause. Phrase does not have subject and predicate combination, but a clause has subject and predicate combination. Now, you can see here with the example that a subordinate clause is dependent on the other half or independent clause. When the thief broke into the house, the dog barked at him. Now, these two clauses are combined together to make a complete meaningful sentence. Now, this whole sentence is made up of two clauses. Now, the first half is a subordinate clause and the other half is an independent clause. This is subject and this is predicate. This is subject and this is predicate. And that is why these two are referred as clauses. I hope now you have understood the difference between a phrase and a clause. So, this is very easy to identify a phrase and a clause. Now, what is a sentence? A complete sentence has a subject and a predicate and can often be composed of more than one clause. As long as it has a subject and a predicate, a group of words can form a sentence, no matter how short it is. And more complex sentences can combine multiple clauses or phrases to add additional information about what is described. I hope you have understood the difference between the phrase, the clause, and a sentence. Thank you.